Welcome to Let's Talk E-commerce. I'm your host Anurag, and today we're going to talk about one of the hottest topic in the region, from startup to scale up, building e-commerce success in the Middle East. Joining with me today, Mitch Bittermann, Senior Vice President of Dubai CommerCity, a leader who has been shaping how brands set up and scale in the fastest growing market in the Middle East. Welcome to Let's Talk E-commerce, Mitch. I'm pleased to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Anurag. Really pleasure to be here today, and thanks for inviting me.
Pleasure is all mine, Mitch. So tell me more about your journey and what led you to Dubai CommerCity.
Okay, then I have to start probably around 20 years ago.
Sure.
I am German, as you can probably tell from my interesting accent. I left Germany around 20 years ago, worked in California for 2 years with a German services company called Avato. Moved to Asia, spent around 15 years in Asia, in Singapore, in Thailand, in Hong Kong, before I moved to Dubai around 3.5 years ago. I started my career in logistics, hardcore warehousing, pallet in, pallet out kind of business. It evolved a little bit more into e-commerce over the years when the hype started, people ordering online and everything. So I got the first touch points with e-commerce during that period of time. And then I moved to an e-commerce enabler in Bangkok, who were helping brands to sell online. And then one of our customers was Adidas, and I ended up joining Adidas to manage all their e-commerce in Asia. And due to private reasons, we had some offsprings. So we basically said, you know what, it's too far away for parents to travel that far. Let's look for something closer to Europe, and that's how we came to the UAE. Like I said, almost 4 years ago now, and enjoying it here. Super exciting to work for the Dubai government, and looking forward for the future else, what will come during the next past years.
Amazing. I personally consider you as an e-commerce veteran. So really interesting to understand what excites you most about e-commerce, specifically in the Middle East region.
Yeah. So in general, I'm a sales guy. No? I like commercial. I like numbers. No? And if you're in the B2B world, everything is more or less already there. You see some growth, but not like exploding like you see in B2C. I think this is the first thing which drew me really towards it. If I just look at what's basically happening here in the UAE, I feel that it's super exciting because nothing has been agreed yet or nothing has been finalized yet. If you look, I worked a lot in Asia, obviously. So if you look at the Tmals, the Alibabas and whatnot, right? So they have their market share and it's pretty much, set in stone. Everyone is on marketplaces. Social commerce plays a huge role. But if you come to the Middle East, it almost feels like 10 years ago what we experienced in Asia, right? So you see a lot of marketplaces, horizontal, vertical ones. So the horizontal ones like your Noon, your Amazon, the vertical ones, the Namshis and the Unas and whatnot, right? And then you have brand.com over here, which I think is quite amazing compared to other markets. And social commerce is really something which hasn't kicked off yet. And I just read an article this morning where it basically said 100% of all the people in the Emirates are actually on social media. Wow. So they're doing WhatsApp calls, they're going on Instagram, Facebook, you name it, right? So they are really in social already. And out of these, when they did the survey, they basically said within the next 5 years, 96% of the people expect to buy on social commerce.
Wow.
And if you look at it today, that it's not really happening that much. You have, for instance, if you look at TikTok Shop, hasn't really rolled out in the market yet. That's the first thing, right? Then you have a lot of very interesting movements with Noon, Namshi, with Uber and Kareem, right? So there is a lot of things moving right now. Yeah. But what we saw in the early days, not in the early days, but in the later days in Asia, there was some consolidation happening, right? Then you have super apps. You have your the super apps which they're setting over here with Kareem, with Noon and whatnot, where they're offering other services as well. So I think the interesting part is really no one can predict where the consumer is going to shop in the next couple of years, right? Who are going to be the winners in this whole thing, right? And I think this is what makes it quite unique. And just this morning as well, I saw one of my colleagues, an Emirati guy, he was ordering fresh dates from a farm in Al Quwain, and he was doing it via WhatsApp business.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
and I was really blown away because I thought, like, you know what, it's not really happening here. But if there's a farm in Al Quwain already selling products
Yeah.
to end consumers, and on the account which he forwarded me, you could see on the account itself, you could pick all the stuff, you could order it, they deliver it to your house door, you can do cash on delivery, whatever you want. So that means it's just a question of time until it will happen here.
Sure. As you mentioned, the internet penetration is crazy. I mean, and the disruption happening in the region, specifically in e-commerce industry, it's amazing. So a lot of brands are actually moving to this region because of these reasons. And according to you, if I have to set up my e-commerce brand from scratch, what is the most critical first step that I should consider before moving my e-commerce business here or setting up an e-commerce business in the Middle East?
Very good. I think one thing, and I think that goes without saying, if you're bringing a brand over or whatever, you need to do your homework and see, like, where's my potential audience, right? Who's buying from me? So to do some homework on this one. The other one is the sales channels. And the sales channels, like I just mentioned, can be your brand.com, can be on the marketplace, can be on social. And that's something which is very relevant in terms of which direction you want to go, because it defines your business model, it defines your costs, everything. The next part is, do you want to do it only in the UAE or you want to go into the region? Because based on this one also depends on how you set up your business, right? I know we will talk a little bit about free zones later, but there are economic zones in the MENA region or in the GCC region who are catering especially for international business. So that means if you're now coming in and said, I want to try out the UAE market, I set something up in mainland, and then later on you learn you have to replicate the whole thing in a free zone again to be able to sell overseas. So these are the things you should probably think about when you enter the market.
Sure. Yeah? And as you mentioned about free zones, there are more than, I think, 45 plus free zones.
47 now.
47 in UAE. And options to set up your business in mainland as well. So from a location standpoint, from a e-commerce hub standpoint, what do you think is the most crucial decision that a business owner must take, and the mistakes that he should avoid in order to make sure that he chooses the right location?
Yeah. So I think the most important part is really to look what I just mentioned from a business model perspective, and a lot of them have physical products. If you bring something into a free zone, into a fenced free zone, we are one of them as Dubai CommerCity, you're not incurring any import GST. So no taxes for products coming in, which is great, because if you're now in a fashion business, if you take one of your nice DKNY shoes, you have 14 size runs from the smallest to the biggest.
Yeah.
But now they probably have 10 different colorways. So that means you have 140 pairs, but each one is unique because you have one color and one size, right? So now imagine you have to pay for this 140 pairs, you need to pay import GST. That means you have a lot of money parked without utilizing it until you wait if an order comes, right? If you're now in a free zone, you don't pay import GST. That means if you get an order coming from, let's say, Abu Dhabi or mainland somewhere, from Dubai, you will send the order, the normal taxes will apply, everything good, it's a local consumption. If the order comes now from Saudi, then you will never pay any taxes in Dubai. And that's super relevant, because especially for the fashion industry, where you have a lot of SKUs and a lot of inventory, it saves you a lot of costs. And this one enabled us now, from a Dubai CommerCity perspective, we're shipping from DCC, B2C, so for brand.com and whatnot, we're shipping to more than 80 countries worldwide. And this is something, people saying like, oh yeah, we need a local DCC. We need a local distribution center. We need a regional one. No, we're talking about global now, out of the UAE. Yeah. And this is something which is amazing. And I don't think any other country in the world right now is offering. But with our infrastructure, with the government perks, what you have, it's just a logical conclusion to go global, basically, right? And that's just one part of it. The other one is taxation, for instance, corporate tax. Yeah. Everyone who wants to come to Dubai, it's tax-free.
Yes.
That's not true. It's not tax-free everywhere anymore. Yeah. There are special economic zone, us being one of them, but there are certain criteria you have to meet. And again, it comes back to like, do your homework and see what you want to do, because the business model need to work by the end of the day.
Sure. And you speak to a lot of e-commerce businesses and startups on a daily basis. What are the common mistakes that these guys do while setting up their business in the region?
So the first thing is, and I hear it from a lot of people, as soon as they start going online and they're checking for business setup Dubai,
Yeah.
afterwards, because of cookies, you know better than I
Yes.
do, they get bombarded on Instagram, on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hey, open your license. Within a day, within 24 hours, you have a license, you have this, you have that.
Yes.
Virtual licenses is a good topic. No?
Yeah.
Virtual licenses are great if you want to set up a business, but they're not necessarily great if you want to operate or you need to operate. So that means I have a lot of people coming to us and saying like, you know what, I have a license, but I cannot open a bank account. Because here's the catch. If you have a virtual license, there is no physical address behind. The bank, such as Emirates NBD, they want to have a physical address. So without this physical address behind, they will have trouble opening bank accounts, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of companies are coming to us and said, Mitch, I need your help. I don't need a license. I have a license, but I need a bank account.
Yeah.
And I was like, sorry, I'm not a bank. So first of all, right?
Yes.
And it just has been set up in a wrong way from the get-go. And I think there are, we mentioned, 47 free zones. Everyone has their own like forte, what you can do and what not. Spend a little bit of time and check it. And don't jump for the first one because it says 999 dirhams or whatever, and you're ready to go. Because you're ready to go, you have a license, which is a legitimate license, but it might not be enough to operate your business.
Yeah. And as you know, a lot of brands which move from North America and Europe planning to launch their e-commerce in the region, they come from a background wherein a lot of learning that they have is relevant for that particular region, right? So from a local insights perspective, what do you think a business should take care while they're setting up and while they are operating in the e-commerce domain? I'm specifically talking about things like payment preferences, local consumer behavior, Arabization, for example.
Got it.
So if you can shed some light on that.
So I think one thing is very important to know: we are mobile first population here. So a lot of people just buy, and including myself, I'm hardly going on the laptop and buy something. I'll buy it on directly on the mobile. So that means you need to have proper apps. It's not just a desktop version because it might be a little bit tricky to handle, especially when you're searching for products. That's the first one. Second one, BNPL, buy now, pay later. This is something which is just common now. Everyone has it. So coming into the market and say like, yeah, but I don't want to do the BNPL. No, sorry, but you will lose a lot of audience because you're not offering it, right? The other thing is obviously what you just mentioned, the cultural aspect of things. So you need to understand Ramadan, the religious holidays which are over here, which is one thing is the shopping festival, which are surrounded by this religious holidays. But the other thing is also the buying habits.
Yeah.
Because if people, we're talking about quick commerce now, food deliveries and whatnot, right? People don't eat during the day because they're fasting, right? So expecting then to have spikes during the day is not going to happen during these seasons. And you in a way need to set it up so you can weather this period of where people are in Ramadan or whatever, right? For this period of months where sales will just go down significantly or they will be shifted after sunset, right? And then last but not least, the Arabic aspect of things. I think it's very common. You need to have it in Arab and English at least. Yeah, there is a lot of other populations here, but I think Arabic is just a must here in the market. Yeah, and I think people need to consider that before they even get started.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that there one set of audience who is actually struggling because of the missing piece, which is the local nuisance of the market.
Yep.
But then there are businesses who are doing well, who are actually moving from surviving to thriving, and now they want to scale up. And I have seen a lot of startups failing when they try to scale up. So what do you think, what is needed in order to scale up your e-commerce business, let's say from surviving, thriving, and then scaling? What is required?
I think I have a different interpretation because I call it startup, smart up, and scale up. Because if you don't smarten up on the way to it, you will never scale up.
Absolutely.
You know, that's when it makes or breaks.
Yeah.
So if you just look at that aspect and saying like a company is coming in, the first thing they have to ask themselves is also, what do I need to do in-house and what should I outsource to someone, who has that knowledge? No? Yeah. Because I know we had a brief discussion around it. I'm setting up a company on the side right now, and it's exactly the same thing. Do I make it myself or do I outsource it to someone? And sometimes you only reach a certain threshold until it makes financially sense. As we all know, when you have a startup bootstrapped, You have not that much money at your disposal, and you want to spend it wisely. That's the first one. Second thing, what you have to think about is if you go towards that route, is how do you build trust? For me, a lot of online business has to do with trust. There's three things why you would buy online. The first one is because of speed. The second one is because of price. And the other one is the trust factor in it, right? The convenience and trust. So if you then think about it, you buy something online, you want to buy it from a source. And I'm not even saying the cheapest is the best, because sometimes people would pay a premium just to buy it from a trustful source.
Yeah.
You know, like go on Amazon, go to the real store, or go to the branded store and whatnot, right? You can charge a premium just for that.
Yeah.
If you build that trust part, that gives you a base. And I think it's very important to just have that right. And then afterwards, if it comes to the scaling, and I think especially if you look at startups, they don't necessarily have all the time, or they, how do you say that in a nice way? But sometimes founders don't see what their limits are. And if you are, being a founder is amazing because you need to have a great idea. But running a company is a different story, especially when we talk about the scaling aspect of it, right? I told you I worked in Bangkok before for a startup, and they were the founders, and they brought me in as the scale-up guy. They made fun of me and said, Mitch has an Excel file for everything, which I'm German, I have, yeah. But the thing was really, they put a trust in my hand and said, Mitch, you've seen small, you've seen big, bring us to big. And I think this is not easy for a founder, because he said, what does he guy wants for me? I brought it to this one. Why would I now give it away? I will be the one doing it. And I think this is something which you have to be true to yourself. You have different shareholders and everything. And the bigger a company becomes, there needs to be some cheese. It cannot only be Indians running around and just saying like, let's do this one, and no controls, nothing. And I think having due diligence, having structure in place, processes, I know no one wants that really, but if you really want to scale, you have to have it in place. It's not even an ask, it's a must.
Yes.
You need to have it, otherwise you will not be able to get, and I think especially when we talk e-commerce terms, 1 order, 10 order, you can do it out of your garage or out of your second bedroom. If you go to 100 orders, if you go to 1,000 orders a day,
it's a different ballgame.
Exactly. Then you need a WMS system to run your systems. You need a proper OMS. They need to be integrated, because everything what you're doing in a small little space, copying back each other manually and whatnot, it's always good for starting it, but it's never good for scaling it.
I completely agree with you. So as you mentioned, from 0 to 10, and then 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, it's a different ball game altogether.
Yep.
So what are the biggest challenges that you see when you speak to these startups and founders who are actually scaling up? What are the biggest challenges that you feel? You mentioned about technology, you mentioned about marketing, but if you can specifically point out some of the biggest challenges that these guys face.
So one thing is the funding piece, obviously, and we have under my government arm, there's a company called Oracea Capital, which is a PE. It's an investment fund. So we're doing a lot of rounds with startups. And one of the things is really being cash constrained. I mean, by the end of the day, right? And getting the exact amount of money to keep you afloat until the next round and whatnot. The other one is really the knowledge, where people say, you know what, actually, I'm handling so much payments and whatnot and reimbursements and whatnot. I need financial support. So this is we have something called a sandbox concept, where you not only get money, but you also get someone to coach you, right?
Interesting.
And they look at the area where they need help. And I think that's super relevant. And then the other thing what you have to ask yourself, and this goes back to doing the logistics out of your second bedroom. Are you trying to become a logistics company? Probably not. You're an e-commerce company. So why are you trying to perfectionate the logistics you're doing? And this sounds very, very easy, but look at Microsoft, look at Apple, look at all the big guys in the world. If you ever call Apple or Microsoft via the hotline or whatnot, if they still let you get through, because everyone does call avoidance, the person who's picking up on the other side is never a Microsoft or an Apple employee. It's all outsourced. So the most successful brands in the world know how to outsource. And you see a lot of brands. I was with Adidas before, as I told you, we were still doing our own warehousing. And then you're asking yourself, you know what, but there's DHL, there's FedEx. There's a lot of these companies, Aramex here in the region. They're working for 30, 40 years tirelessly to perfectionate last mile fulfillment and whatnot. Do we really think As a brand, we can be better than that. And it would also shift a lot of our focus. And I think this is one of the key things. If you set up a company, concentrate on what your focus are.
Yeah.
If your focus is a great product, it's marketing and product development. It's not logistics or call center or whatever else it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Certain things you need to, but other ones, even if you pay a little bit of a premium, rather outsource it, take that pain away so you can focus on what's important for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the brands that I'm advising at this stage, a lot of them, they want to start from UAE, but they have plans to go beyond UAE and target other GCC countries. As you know, there are open markets when we talk about KSA, Kuwait, Qatar. They're all Gulf countries, but when you take a closer look, they're all different. So tell me more about cross-border trade and how Dubai CommerCity is helping businesses doing cross-border trading.
So what we have an integration, a blockchain solution to Dubai Customs.
Okay.
That means any product going in and out automatically will be alerted to Dubai Customs because we are controlled zone, right? Especially in the past, you needed to do an import declaration and whatnot. It's okay if you do B2B. There's a full container coming, but now imagine you need to do that for every little order which is coming in and out. It will kill your business model. So that's something which we set up very successfully that allows us to go into more than 80 countries. So we are permanently working with other government authorities where we said, how can we ensure seamless flow of goods in and out of the free zone?
Sure.
So that's something where I think this is something where a lot of people need to work together. And if you are now, and the biggest thing from our side is, I have one guy in my team, his name is Wahid, he was 28 years with Dubai Customs. Anyone who intends to bring a product into DCC needs to pass my customs guy first. Because whatever crazy idea they have, products coming from Vietnam, from China, India, wherever, they're going to this, they're going to that, they're doing maybe some value-added services on the product. We need to make sure everything is safe and sound and everything is according to the law and everything, because we don't do gray, we're government, right?
Sure.
And but for us it's super relevant to really find that out and rather do that extra round than a disgruntled customer who sets up in the free zone and afterwards he said, but Mitch, you sold me this warehouse or whatever, now I cannot ship anywhere. You know, and that doesn't help anyone. And we want everyone to flourish and to grow, obviously.
Yeah, makes sense. And since you mentioned while scaling up, you need that complete e-commerce ecosystem to thrive and then scale up your business, right? So from a partnership and ecosystem perspective, what do you think, what are the critical elements that as a business owner, I must learn and know if I have to be successful in the region?
Yeah. So I think one of the things, especially looking at partnerships, so we have a unique system because we're not just a landlord. We actually, our tenants are also our partners. So we work together, and I don't want to take from Techies Infotech, but we work with you guys on a lot of projects already, right? And the whole idea is, in our concept is, if you are setting up a new company, you have two challenges. The license, 47 free zones. Someone will get you the right license.
Absolutely.
That's not a rocket science. It's for me a commodity. But what will be the challenge is now, assuming you're coming from India, from Vietnam, Thailand, wherever, you bring a product. You have the product, you have an amazing product, beautiful product, and then you're saying like, hey, but I need a website because I want to sell it. Hey, I need content management, I need logistics. And the thing is, why we have partnerships is because all our tenants, we vet them first. We see that they provide a proper service because it's our name. If we are recommending them to provide a project, a service to whatever, to the new brand, we need to make sure everything is safe and sound. That's one part. The other effect on this partnership program has the biggest challenge is not to set up a company over here. The biggest challenge is to build sustainable revenues. If not, you go home and you said, hey, I have a company now in Dubai, and after 2 years, you quietly close it. LinkedIn post is forgotten, right?
Yes.
And but our aim is really to bring like-minded people together, create value together. And you know what? I can give you a lot of examples, even within our free zones. We have EV companies, right, who do chauffeur service for VIPs with Mercedes, big Mercedes EQS class. You know what? Every other tenant of ours, if they have a VIP visiting, they could use their service. And you know what? By this, I'm creating more revenue. Now you can ask, what do I earn out of it? Probably nothing. But you know what? If they're doing well, they will grow.
Yeah.
And this is what it's all about, right? And this is the ecosystem which we're discussing, what we're building. And This, I think, is one of the biggest benefit why we are growing so fast, because people feel as being part of a community, part of an ecosystem, and we help them grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm personally being part of the community
Yes.
from last 4 years, and I can vouch
One
on
of the oldest.
one of the oldest for
tenant,
sure. Yeah, and proud partners as well
Yeah,
of Dubai
yeah.
CommerCity. I can personally vouch for the ecosystem
you.
that you have created.
Thank you.
And kudos to the entire team at DCC.
Yes, thank you.
How do you see AI and automation shaping up the future of e-commerce industry?
I think it's going to be a game changer. I think it's going to be crazy. We have to be careful though, because AI is almost like a bullshit bingo. Everyone uses it,
Yes.
but hardly anyone knows what it actually can do to the business and whatnot. Where I see a lot of potential right now is especially in content management, in marketplace management. Just think about it. If you are managing now a couple of marketplaces as a channel manager, you have your Noon, your Amazon, your Trendyol, whatever it is, your Kareem and whatnot, you have all of them together. And at the same time now you're saying like, you know what, I want to put my sports shoes and sell it on it.
Yeah.
And then the first one comes, oh, I want this format, or I want that format. And here there is a, you can only put in 100 words. The next one allows 200, right? And all of this right now is being done by some hands doing it, some brains doing it, right? But now just imagine everything in this one can be automated completely. So that means a whole army of people you don't require anymore to push that information, and the information is better than any human being can do, right? They don't make mistakes. The only thing is they probably get a wrong input, which leads to mistake.
Absolutely.
That's one part. The other part is if you think about costing and inventory, right? So you have flexible pricing, for instance. You could potentially scrape the marketplace and to make sure that you're always the cheapest.
Makes sense.
If that's your intention, or always the most expensive, or if someone offers it that this, you offer 2 units at a higher price, right? But overall per unit it will be cheaper. So this kind of thinking, right, is not even utilized today because someone needs to manage it. And the next thing is inventory. As we all know, you have inventory. If we're not talking about now FBX, where the inventory sits with the marketplace, but you do it out of one centralized inventory, how do you make sure you're not running out of inventory on the different marketplaces, the whole real time? So there is a lot of things which can be done from that aspect and make life hopefully easier for a lot of people, right? And easier is one thing, but faster and more cost effective. No? And because in the past, when I'm thinking about the old days in Bangkok where I was working, we had an army of channel managers. They were doing nothing but discussing channels. When by right, they were looking at, oh, is this one correctly uploaded? This one correctly uploaded? By right, it should be an account manager, and they're just speaking to the brand and say like, you know what, 11:11, 12:12 is coming up. What shall we do together? And then just tell the machine to do it.
Yeah.
But the reality was there was a lot of people behind doing all this stuff. And a lot of this is getting automated right now. And I think it's very exciting for the market. And it will enable not only big brands to be faster, but also new brands to come into the market because of a lesser complexity.
Yeah. Makes sense. So as an end customer, consumer of, e-commerce in the region, I see a lot of new brands and new categories popping up. And in last 12 to 18 months, I have seen this tremendous shift wherein a lot of new categories are being introduced by all these marketplaces. So according to you, what are those top 3 categories where you see growth happening in this region in next 3 to 5 years?
So I think one, and it's already big, but I think it just keeps on growing, is fashion. Fashion, and the single reason is if you go into a retail store, it's limited what you will have on stock, right? Sizes, colors, I explained before. So that for me is just something which will keep on growing. A lot of brands which are not even here yet, you can buy from abroad and everything. This is for me a massive thing. The second one, which I'm thinking, is quick commerce. So everything in terms of groceries and whatnot, it might be already, and I think we can all agree. I live in a condo, 54 floors. Not one time of the day I'm entering in the elevator and there is not a delivery rider in it. So everyone orders online already. You have that here, obviously, but if you go to the neighboring markets, there is Saudi is also quite big on it, but there's still a lot of other countries where it's not that common. And there is still a lot of growth to be expected coming from this one. The last one, which I'm thinking, is this whole health and beauty, moms and baby and all of it. because these are a lot of these brands, if you think about health and beauty, for instance, a lot of Korean beauty brands, a lot of Thai brands, Vietnamese brands, right? There is a lot of these small sellers which have amazing products,
Yeah.
ethically sourced and all that, right? And amazing products which you have. And we go a lot to Asia and buy the products there. And this is a market here for all of these small sellers which can come into the market. For them, it's amazing because each of them is very unique in the way how they sell their products and whatnot. If you can give them a platform to really like unroll them and show them how it's being done, then I think it's amazing. And again, I'm always thinking back of my time in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, Thailand and whatnot, where people on social channels, they're already selling their products and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Later they go on the big marketplaces and it helps them to grow and to bring prosperity to other countries as well.
Yeah, sounds good. It would be really interesting to know from your perspective, how's the consumer behavior, consumer expectations are changing, and how do you see that changing in future?
Yeah. So I think before people were really willing to wait a day, maybe even two for their products. Now it's about instant gratification.
Yeah.
People want it now. And that's the thing, is a lot of it, e-commerce is also impulse buy, right? So, the regretful thing. It's actually interesting because there was even a study, when people go into a store, into a physical store, they will more likely buy something which they regret later than they would do online. Ghosting. Because if you ghost the marketplace online, it's not such a big deal as it would be if you go into a store and you see an actual salesperson handing you this and you don't know how to say no. And then you just exit and no one sees it, right? Yeah. So that's something which I see has a lot of implication, and this is a very big opportunity as well to improve that, right? So that's just one part of it. How else it's going to shift in general terms is instant gratification. People want that. Thanks to Gen Z, we will have a lot of ethically sourced products. Sustainable packaging,
absolutely,
EV delivery vehicles. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or it's a joke, but it's really like that's becoming the norm now, right? So people want to have this. And the other thing is, and this is something which I believe is still a lot of room for improvement, is omni-channel experience, right? In the generation, when we talk about Gen Zers, for instance, right? They get up in the morning, they see something on, let's say they get a newsletter from Adidas, they see a new pair of shoes, they say like, oh, that's a nice one. In the afternoon, they'll go to the store, they try on the shoes and say like, hey, it actually looks really nice. And in the evening, they're ordering it from Unas or whatever it is, right? So 3 touch points. I don't think the brand knows where the consumer was before they actually bought a product. Yeah. And by understanding this, also for Adidas means like, you know what, why did we not capture this on our brand.com? So even the CRM systems today are not that connected that people leave a digital footprint. They able to measure digital footprint on their website, but not across different platforms. If you can get that, and you will probably see that the person who bought this shoe is also playing soccer in the local football club because he's on Facebook, he's part of this and that group. He maybe buys socks somewhere else, right? So you could actually really have like an identity of this person and saying like, you know what, I really know everything A to Z. It's like a Glassern client. I really know all of this person is about, because in the next phase, marketing. Because once you have all this information, you know what? You can go to the guy and say, I do now soccer jerseys for you guys and I sponsor it with Adidas. Absolutely. Or I know you always buy the 4Ds or the Stan Smiths or whatever. A new model is coming out, a special drop only for you, right? For loyalty programs. You can do so much with it. And I think this whole omni-channel part is not even utilized, who then leads to the next part, which is the whole CRM and how to market it to consumers. Yeah.
So, Mitch, you have been part of multiple government projects. What has been the most rewarding project so far that you have done in Dubai CommerCity?
I think the biggest one I did so far is the transformation which we went through from a Dubai CommerCity perspective. When I joined from Asia, I moved from Singapore over for this assignment here. And the main thing was, or the main slogan of the free zone was, putting the E into commerce. I still remember that. And I came in and then I looked and we had like a handful, we had like 30, 40, you being one of them, clients. And then I was like, okay, we're putting the E into commerce. That means we only want e-commerce companies, and it's empty. So why would I shorten or make the funnel smaller?
Yes.
Why not offer it to everyone, right? And so the first thing what we said is like, okay, so first of all, not only focus on e-commerce, focus on digital, because e-commerce always associates a product in a way. And digital, on the other hand, can be a process, right?
Yeah.
So that's what was already broadening the funnel a little bit. And then we said the other thing is ecosystem. And that was a bit based on my own experience. I came to Dubai. I know you were one of the first people I met, but there were so many things I needed help with, whether it's visa, whether it's housing, schooling, buying a car and everything. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Now picture I have a company and I'm coming with this company over here. I still need to do all of that as a private person, but at the same time, I require so many things. I need to do financial auditing. I need someone to build a website for me. I don't know Techies, Infotech, so where would I go? Maybe check online. And I thought, you know what? Why not create an ecosystem where people come on board and they help, and we help with everything what we can. We have vetted partners, we help them all the way through and everything. And this is, I think this was a massive transformation. I always need to be careful when I'm pitching Dubai CommerCity, because I'm pitching an ecosystem. I'm not pitching a free zone. We are an ecosystem who has free zone capabilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that the narrative changed completely.
Yeah.
And I think this transformation is super exciting, but it also means through my whole team and everything, there's a whole mindset change of what needs to happen, because as a government, I'm German, I know government and how government should or should not behave. No? For me, it's easy. I never worked for the government, so I don't know how they behave.
Yeah.
I worked for service provider. That one I can relate to. I provide a service. And this is even this services mindset where I always say to my team, we are a 4-year-old organization. Of course, there are also things which are not working 100%. But I also always tell my team, you know what? We're a services organization. We should be relatable. So if someone comes with a problem to you, try to solve it. And yeah, there will be mistakes on the way or whatnot, but there's a very big likelihood of people feeling okay because you're just relating. You're trying to help, right? And they can see that. And I think this is the biggest transformation what we did. And looking at the way how we grew right now, we have 4 towers, amazing. Another 2 coming. We are full, completely. We just crossed, 2 weeks ago, we crossed the 500 mark. Now amazing. We have around 510 companies.
Wow.
And it's just it's been an amazing ride, and it's not even done yet. I know you're also part of the directors meeting, which we do every quarter, where people are just meeting up. I'm introducing people to each other. So far, it was just all tenants together. Why? Because there were not enough people showing up anyways.
Yes.
Now we come to a stage where we say like, maybe we should have one for mobility, maybe one for technology, maybe one for e-commerce, maybe one for logistics. So that we have these interest groups to make it even more valuable, these kind of meetups, right?
Yeah.
And I think our journey is by far not over. There's still so many things. We have free zones from other countries coming to us and saying like, that's super exciting. You're not a landlord. It's like a lot of people say a free zone on steroids, right? Yeah. Because we are just doing way more than just being a landlord. And this concept is very unique, but it's also very successful, right? And we see that on our growth rates. And I think the best example actually how to see that is a lot of our new business is coming from referrals. Existing tenants saying like, you know what, hey, you should come to DCC. They're really nice. You know, they care. They help you with this. They help you with that. You can grow your from smart desk to small, bigger office, similar to your journey. You've done there, And because this is what we want. Of course, I have Coca-Cola, I have Maserati, I have BYD, and a lot of big companies, Emirates, NBD. I have a lot of big companies as well. However, they don't need my help. For them, I'm a landlord. I help on some meeting venues and whatnot, right? But the ones who really need our help are the startups. And I think you agree on that. Yeah. The ones who really need hand-holding, the ones who want to grow, these are the smaller companies. So that means from the 520 companies, you probably know more because you've been there a while, but from a name perspective, you probably know 20. The other 500 are startups you've never heard of. Yeah. And these are the ones who need our love. These are the ones we want to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. So while talking to all these startups, what is that one piece of advice that you usually give to all the founders of these startups?
Do your homework. I'm always surprised. And the thing is also when things are escalated to me or whatever, people are not doing well with their job, things are happening or whatnot, People just didn't do their homework, and I just think it's amazing. You are someone who runs his own business, but there is people they're coming to Dubai, and we all know Dubai is not a cheap place to live, especially when you need to set up a business. People just come over here. They don't even do a business plan on Excel about their standard costs, what they're occurring or whatnot. And when they come to you 5 before 12 when they're already on the way of closing down and said, Mitch, I need your help on this and that. And I'm just, sometimes I find it interesting that if it is about your future of your family and whatnot, why would you so loosely run around and just spend the money and not think about it? And I think this is one piece of advice I would like to give everyone. They need to come up with a business plan. I even help companies coming in, helping on the business plan, giving them some input, because if you have $100,000, it sounds a lot of money. But if you now go into an office, you do this, and a lot of people tend to overspend. We all know, it's great to have a nice office with a nice view, but do you really need that to grow your business right now? Should you not take that office when you can afford it and really focus on the essential at the start? So that's another thing. People should just not live over their means, because it could be, and I think you know best yourself, it's a tough nut to crack. If you don't know anyone locally, you don't have any network, that means your next customer might be 6 months away. Do you have the financial means to survive another 6 months, right? And this is something which my biggest advice is: do your homework, run an Excel table, call me if you need to. I'll explain a little bit more, but just to make sure that you are safe and sound. And I think this is also our people canceling their leases or whatnot, or discontinuing business with us is less than 10%. And this is amazing. You have other ones, and I don't want to do name dropping with some of the partner free zones. They have a different audience as well. Yeah. They're doing thousands a month, thousands of new companies a month. Yeah. I do 10, maybe 15. But I want to work with these guys. Sure. For the other ones, it's a one-time revenue. If they leave, they leave. It's not my responsibility. In our case, it's different. I feel it's my responsibility for them to succeed.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Mitch, I want you to describe this growing e-commerce ecosystem in 3 words. If you can summarize the entire ecosystem in 3 words.
Consolidate.
Okay.
Grow.
Okay.
And global.
Wow.
So consolidate, first of all. I think it's an ideal hub in the Middle East to consolidate your business and do business globally, right? Sure. Once it's consolidated, you can start growing your business. And once it grows already here in the MENA region, you can go global with it. Amazing. And this is basically what I think fits it quite nicely.
All right. So we are on to the last part of the podcast, and my personal favorite one. It's called Rapid Fire Round. And I would like to ask you some quick questions, and you can select one of the 2 options.
Okay.
So are you a night shopper who shops digitally, or you are a weekend shopper who goes to the mall and for shopping?
Does it need to be a rapid answer? Because I'm a night shopper, but my wife makes me to shop on weekends. But I'm a night shopper. I love buying online. I like, let me phrase it like this, and I'm sorry if it's not the concept, but I like seeing things in the store, but once I see them in the store, I rather buy them online.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah. So you are a night shopper, a digital shopper. Okay.
Yeah.
Noon or talabat?
Noon.
Speed or personalization?
Personalization.
Sustainability or discounts?
Sustainability.
KSA or UAE, which is a tough market to crack. KSA or UAE?
UAE. Always. I mean, I work in UAE. How can I say anything else? I think both markets have their definitely have a lot to give and a lot of things to do. I think with KSA in particular, because they open up quite late compared to the UAE, everything has been established over here. So I think they're still playing catch-up game. Yeah?
Amazing. Last but not the least, morning coffee or evening beer?
I don't think I need to answer, but of course, I don't do coffee, so that leaves only one answer.
Of course, and you being from Germany, this answer is obvious.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the podcast, Mitch. It was pleasure having you. On a personal front, I really loved chatting to you. It was very, very informative for me personally, and I hope it will be insightful for our audience as well. So
my pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thank you.
And to our listeners, I hope you found this episode valuable. Stay tuned for more conversations with industry leaders on Let's Talk E-commerce. Thank you once again for joining us. Until next time, stay curious, stay innovative, and let's keep building the future of e commerce together.